Hi Gemini, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot. Welcome to your 2021 preview. So the really cool thing about 2021 for you guys in particular is that you hosting the North Node in a time in which everything starts to become a little bit more air friendly. We have the movement of a lot of planets into the sign of Aquarius. And there's an emphasis on things kind of happening more in your element, changes, and I think things are going to start to go the way that Gemini kind of envisions them. So the good thing is, I think you're going to start aligning with a lot of the people and the players that you're meant to in your life. Now, when you host a North Node, there's no doubt there's an element of destiny involved, meaning your life is going to change in some maybe even pretty drastic ways, depending on whether this is your sun, your ascendant, or your moon that you're here for. Either way, connecting with the North Node at this time is a pretty incredible time. So I would expect nothing less than monumental stuff. The other cool thing about 2021 and even into part of 2022 is this is a super spiritual time for Gemini. And I like that because the North Node is there. I think a lot of Geminis are going to start to go through kind of this awakening in some way or another. It could be religious aspects. It could be breaking through addictions or mental health issues, karmic issues, family healing. There's definitely, with the South Node in your 7th, a lot of things might be acted out through karmic relationships with other people. So this could be quite a time for you relationship-wise in the next couple of years. Now, we have Jupiter moving through the 9th house along with Saturn. The thing about it is that Jupiter doesn't stay there very long. By, I believe, May or June, Jupiter actually is already moving into Pisces, which is a 10th house placement for you. Now he'll go retrograde, he'll go back into Aquarius the rest of the year, but it's a taste of what 2022 is going to bring you. And seeing that Jupiter is going to meet up with Neptune in 2022, you might get some ideas of that in kind of the early summer months around your birthday time if you're here for your sun. This could be a really insightful time for you. Along with that, you've got Uranus and Mars activating your 12th house, which is another spiritual placement. Meaning you might really start to see people in your life for who they are and make the adjustments. Now, I know I could hear some Geminis going, really? Like, we haven't been doing that? I know. You've just gone through a very intense 8th house transit. So there has been a lot of cleaning house in that respect. 12th house can be a little bit more about surprises. And there could be an element of some isolation there as well, but in a healing mode, because I feel like a lot of 2021 is about Gemini's healing some really deep stuff. So let's jump into these cards. Just to fill you in, I did not do a full 12 months. We would be here for a couple hours. I would still be doing these in March. So I'm covering the first 6 months. Next summer, I will pick one of those months to go over the next 6 months of the year. So for January, your energy is the Ace of Cups. The situation at hand is the Ace of Cups. There will probably be an element of a heart opening in January. I see that for a lot of people. We're going to feel that with the Saturn conjunction. And right away, as Saturn and Jupiter make their way into Aquarius, which happens on the 21st of December, right away, as soon as January hits, they are already starting to approach the first square between the planet Uranus. So this is, again, this first square, 9th and 12th house. This is a complicated alignment. It's a complicated alignment because I think your perspective is going to start to change rather quickly. Maybe there's an element of your heart opening because you see things much differently. I say that because this Ace of Cups is supported by a Nine of Swords, an Emperor, and an Elder of Swords. There's just an element of being able to kind of take control here. The Nine of Swords is, a place of worry, stress, and anxiety, but this is a supportive energy. And because it's here next to the Emperor, I think there is an internal hope or an internal love for Gemini that has them overcome some of their doubts and fears that have been holding them back. I feel like this Aries is a lot about finally that 11th house Aries moving direct. So there's also an element of luck being on your side. In January, things will start to move. Like I said, there's not all that opposition, okay? Even the opposition or the square between Uranus and Saturn is ultimately about freeing ourselves. There's a lot of breaking free in 2021. And I think off the bat, we're breaking free from our doubts and our worries. There's something about 2020 that says, well, the worst has already happened. Might as well take the big risks now. Emperor energy is tremendous ambition and drive. And when I see that there with the Elder of Swords, this is kind of giving birth to a big vision, a big dream. It's the bigger picture overcoming all the things that could go wrong, Ace of Cups just feels to me like believing in yourself ultimately. Gemini, maybe you have some people, some very special people that are really supporting you, relationships that are really supportive to you. And I think, I'm not sure if this is an offer of love of some kind from another person, or if it's just a lot of support coming from the people that you love. A lot of people saying, Gemini, those ideas are really good. You deserve to be happy, and kind of almost being a cheerleader for something that you really want to go after, whatever this freedom is. And it does feel like freedom. Sometimes that Nine of Swords energy can be very repetitive and it could be very narrowing. So maybe, with 2020, with the whole, which has been very hard on Gemini, being a very social person, kind of having to be stuck in the same scenarios might be, kind of getting to you even in a mental health way. And mental health is going to come up. It's going to be an issue for you guys, in a way of which you start to see how you sabotage yourself, even if it's just by not really believing in yourself. Maybe there's a lot of times where Gemini gets some idea and generally what you do is kind of piss in your own Wheaties. You tell yourself you could never do that, you could never take that kind of risk. And 2020 all of a sudden just gives us like this courage to go ahead and do it. Now the antagonizing energy is the Seven of Swords in reverse, which tells me that you're starting to see the truth, and it's probably the truth within yourself. I don't know why. Your first oracle card, which kind of covers the energies that are going on between January and February, is that of humor. I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. And I feel like the Seven of Swords, like I said, that 12th house square that you have with your 9th is really getting honest with yourself. And I'm just wondering if maybe some Geminis aren't going to kind of sit themselves down and have a little talk with yourselves and just, now's the time to make the changes. Now's the time. You can't stay in denial, but at the same time, there's a level of not having to take it so seriously. I like the Seven of Swords because it means the truth is out. Usually this means that if there are people in your life, because the 12th house can sometimes rule hidden enemies. So maybe there were people there that weren't really serving you anymore, maybe people that weren't very supportive, and maybe these were the people that were saying those things that made Gemini believe they couldn't achieve something or they couldn't do something. This stuff starts to get cleared away, and I see this as clarity in your mind. Now, the Seven of Swords in reverse coming out next to the Devil, maybe this is a very Saturnian energy within you. Maybe this is just a part of Gemini that says you're not allowed to be happy, and in whatever way that pertains to you, and that's different for all of us. Maybe we continue to stay in jobs that we don't really love. Maybe we continue to live in cities we don't really like. Maybe we sell ourselves short in order to not have to change things too drastically. In other words, you know, we give up a lot in order to just have that paycheck roll in and be dependable and be able to pay our bills. And when we have the Seven of Swords and the Devil, it tells me that you're starting to see the Devil for what it is. You're starting to see your own self-sabotage clearly, even if it's just by means of staying in denial, by attracting unhealthy relationships. The things that you kind of do to yourself, for sure. And again, the Emperor appears. I think the Emperor appears both in your supporting energy and in your the antagonizing energy, which says a lot, because there's no doubt there will be ambition and drive and the need to want to change and overcome things. There's a lot of strength coming from Gemini. Now, that humor card is probably super important, because moving into February, things start to look a little bit more emotional. In your cards, there's bigger moments, there's bigger choices. And in a lot of ways, maybe Gemini wouldn't normally be able to make this big of a move or this big of a splash. That's how it feels like to me. And I think the humor card is saying, don't take everything so seriously. Remember, you have a lot of support behind you. You have support from the universe. You have support from certain significant relationships. People believe in you, and you're starting to believe in yourself. And really, that's a recipe for success, whether we see it or not. Just the idea that we can do it is really all we need. The idea and the belief in ourselves, and we could pretty much make anything happen. Now, that comes across because in February, you're coming across as a Chariot. This is a Cancer card. This is a card of, again, being in your heart. And I think that's pretty clear through the first half of the year. There's just a lot of mutable and a lot of cardinal, and there is very watery cards in all of these months. Cancer, Pisces. So there's a lot about understanding your emotional self. The Chariot card is about forward movement. Now, this could mean opportunities to travel. It could mean opportunities to move. Maybe there's an opportunity to buy a new vehicle. That could just be the themes of the month. There's something that's much deeper going on here, and I feel like it's the ability to move through some pretty big blockages that held you down for maybe upwards of 30 years, talking about these transits that we're in. And again, because you have support behind you, this feels not only like forward movement, but alignment, meaning that when Gemini starts to make the appropriate choices, when you start to move in the direction that destiny is trying to push you in, you're in the North Node year, you will be so surprised at how easily the things respond to you. Meaning, if you want to sell or buy a property, these things will happen with a lot of ease and very quickly. However, with the Chariot card, there's the emotional element of, okay, it physically happened, now I have to emotionally be okay with it. Probably not small changes for any of you with the Chariot card. There's a lot of major arcana in this reading, and there's a lot about alignment. So definitely moving towards, like I said, elements of destiny here. Now, the supporting energies is the Nine of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Judgment. Now, I always talk about the Judgment card as being like that awakening, and you might be awakening others. Now, the thing is, you're the North Node. Like I said, there's support, there's signs, there's synchronicities. The universe is definitely speaking to you with these 9th house, 12th house transits. There's no doubt. You want to really pay attention to your dreams. You may honor Gemini in these 6 months. You may really honor yourself physically. You know, if your body needs to nap a lot more or sleep more, certainly try to allow that to happen. You would be surprised how productive your dreams are at this time. You'll be surprised how much you can kind of figure out subconsciously in your dreamscapes that makes the day-to-day decisions a lot easier. Also, meditation, any kind of spiritual practices will really honor you, and it will really honor your spirit. It will help you make these big decisions. Now, I say big decisions because we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Nine of Cups. This supporting the Chariot card is like Gemini seeing what makes them happy and going after it. And I think it's regardless of how crazy it is or how spontaneous it feels, it's Gemini grasping on to their happiness. There's an element of wish fulfillment, and there's an element of timing. And like I said, the universal support, the Wheel of Fortune. The universe is behind you making the big changes now. Again, indicating to me that if there is any changes you're trying to make career-wise, where you live, Cancers is usually about family. If you're making decisions about your family, things are going to happen quickly, and you're going to feel a lot of cooperation. You will not believe how easily, and again, an element of the humor card coming up, I think it's going to even surprise Gemini, how certain things kind of happen, how things unfold in the first couple of months. Now, the antagonizing energy is the King of Swords and the Lovers. So definitely a lot of Aquarian, Gemini energy here. The Lovers card is often about a karmic partner, and because we're hosting the South Node in your 7th house, like I said, relationships are on the docket big time this year, but it's not about, I don't feel this energy as being about a certain person. I feel this energy as understanding a different element within relationships themselves. Now, I have to say, and this is kind of, I'm going to jump around for a minute because this was kind of an overwhelming feeling. Now, in your overall cards for the first 6 months of the year, the overall energy is the Six of Pentacles in reverse and the Ten of Pentacles in reverse, which is obviously not very good cards. So there's probably going to be elements of contrast here. You may have to actually leave a situation in order to realize how much you appreciated it. You might have to actually move or change locations in order to realize that you really liked where you were, or you really liked that job, or, you know, there's almost a lot of karmic lessons. I don't see it being fully damaging. In other words, I don't think that you're going to make any bad decisions that you're never going to be able to get those opportunities back again. I just think it's going to be a little bit of a slap on the wrist every time you start to step out of the direction of destiny that's being laid before you. It also tells me that in a lot of ways, Gemini was on the wrong path for quite a while. Now, that's just saying that's how you felt, okay? And especially if you're a cross-watcher, it doesn't mean that Gemini never should have been with you, or, you know, I don't want it to be like that. It's just their relationship or your relationship with the give and take within relationships, okay? The Six of Pentacles has a lot to do with resources. You guys just went through a major 8th house transit, and this was about being able to be intimate and vulnerable with other people. And it's about sexually, it's about financially, it's about trust, okay? Those are 3 very different elements, and yet in order to be successful with them, there has to be an element of trust and vulnerability, right? I'm not sure if maybe some Geminis were avoiding those things in our lives, maybe because of the intensity in that 8th house with Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter there. Sure, it was probably hard if you weren't going through some kind of internal power struggles. There were probably dynamics of really having to deal with loss, separation, a lot of things here. And can kind of change the way that you feel about love or sharing in general. What I like about this is that the supporting energies coming out right underneath that is the 6 of Pentacles upright with the 2 of Cups. Now there's a lot here about things starting to make sense. There's a lot here about learning the ultimate lesson, which means knowing how to be in a relationship, knowing how to be intimate, knowing how to communicate, knowing how to share resources. Maybe this is you finding somebody that you could trust. Maybe this is ultimately the journey in finding and allowing you to love yourself. Now, again, with the 6 of Pentacles, I can't ignore the give and take. And the 2nd house, 8th house is really about how you feel about yourself, your self-value, and the way other people value. Gemini, if you are somebody who is continually being in situations where you find partners that don't give the way that you give, or there's reciprocity issues within a relationship, meaning maybe you continually date people and they accuse you of not really giving, not really investing into the relationship as they do. Sometimes Gemini gets this bad rap because they could be easily distracted. But really, going through this 8th house transit, there's a lot about Gemini now that says, but I really truly am here to connect. Gemini is the side of the twin. It's about finding your other half. It's about falling in love with yourself. It's about alignment, and then learning how by the mental power that you have of being in alignment, how quickly you manifest these things in the outside world. There's a lot about Gemini having to change their atmosphere, having to change the people that they're with. There's a lot about Gemini learning how to get themselves into a better manifestation mode. It's all about ultimately alignment, aligning with the things that you do want to invest in, finding the people that you want to invest in, finding the people that want to invest in you. So there's a lot about changing things around here, reversing old ideas. In March, we have the High Priestess. This is Pisces energy. This is the High Priestess can mean so many different things, but again, the feeling of you knowing ultimately what's best for you. This could also be the universe kind of lining things up for you. This could be things coming to the surface, subconscious stuff that dreams, how we feel. The supporting energy is the Guardian of Cups, the Justice card in reverse, and the 8 of Wands. High Priestess. I'm getting for some people something coming back from the past here with the Guardian of Cups. There might be somebody coming back from the past, or an opportunity coming back from the past. You feel you seem to be somewhat protecting yourself. I think that's what the High Priestess is. Now, the Justice card in reverse and the 8 of Wands tells me that there's probably has to be, the Guardian of Cups with the High Priestess too is, again, that heart-opening energy. There's a lot of vulnerability, allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And I'm wondering if this isn't like what level you're allowing this to go to. There might be moments in March where you kind of have to have some pretty big, heavy emotional conversations. You might have to be really honest. You might, justice in reverse oftentimes indicates apologies. This could be people apologizing to you. This could be you having to make amends or apologies to other people. This could just be having to, allow your feelings about someone or something to come to the surface. There's a lot about truth being revealed here. An Eight of Wands is definitely a card that is full of passion and intention. Might be sudden realizations and epiphanies as well in March, again with that High Priestess energy. Maybe, like having dreams that make you kind of wake up and go, oh my God, I didn't even know I felt that way. Antagonizing energies, oddly enough, is the Eight of Wands in reverse. The Magician, the King of Wands, and the Page of Wands. Okay. Interesting for some of you. And remember, energy can be vice versa. Somebody or something may be blocking you. And you're trying to break through a wall. This could be there's so much here. I'm getting with this Eight of Wands in reverse and the Magician card. There's something about having problems communicating here. Again, there's a feeling of somebody blocking somebody else. There's also a feeling of somebody kind of really manifesting something to happen. This could be somebody attached to you in your energy field. That might be causing some issues for you, and I'm not sure that you are aware of it. This King of Wands and this Page of Wands, there might be something actually really slowing you down in March. Now, that could be some stuff astrologically, because you seem to be going from a King of Wands to a Page of Wands. And I feel as though there's like a drop in almost self-esteem or self-worth. So be careful with what's going on in March here. To me, it feels like there's something that you really love and you want to go after, you want to happen in the month of March, and yet there's like this entity or something around you that's actually making you feel very negative about yourself. Please be careful with that energy. You might have somebody around you that's just making like offhand comments that's really kind of getting to you, or this could be somebody that is actually manipulating your energy in some way. So please be wary of that. I'm sure it'll come up in our monthly readings, but just be careful. I don't like that feeling. I feel like your energy and your drive and your ambition kind of takes a step back in March. Kind of like more of that self-doubt kind of thing sinking in. And now in April, that makes sense because you're coming out as the Hangman. Hangman is Pisces energy. Usually this means you're waiting for somebody else to take action. You are in an element of suspension in some way. This is oftentimes seen when somebody wants to move a relationship along and the other person doesn't, or you're waiting for the other person to kind of ask you to marry them, or you're waiting for that second job interview or the actual job offer. But either way, there's a feeling that you're waiting for something or someone else to take action. oftentimes this is frustrating, but a lot of times we're meant to kind of sit in the suspension. The suspension is actually very productive, and it is for you because the supporting energy is a Two of Pentacles and the Star card. There just seems to be almost a settling of the two different sides of Gemini. And remember, I said there's a lot about contrast. We're still in the North Node Gemini, where there kind of seems to be two sides to every story. If you're even paying attention, you know, in the collective, like there seems to be two completely different versions of every news story, right? Like, for example, Trump won the election, but he didn't. Biden won the election, but he didn't. Like, there always seems to be an element with this North Node in Gemini of we don't really know the answer. And I think this is the energy of being okay with not knowing the answer. I think the Two of Pentacles is Gemini being strong enough with whatever happens. In other words, maybe you're waiting on somebody to decide if they want to be with you in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you're waiting on a job offer or something. There seems to be almost a freedom that comes from this Two of Pentacles and the Star card, which is a heavier energy of what happens if it doesn't happen. Two of Pentacles can often, you know, be planning for the future, having a backup plan in some way. There's something about making yourself feel safe and secure with whatever happens in your outside world. Now, interesting enough, your antagonizing energy there is the King of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. This is really kind of a rough energy here. Two of Pentacles and the Stars, oftentimes finding I've been getting that this April is a pretty big month. And the King of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, Knight of Swords. There seems to be two different versions of you. That's what I'm getting from this in the month of April. There's two different versions of Gemini. There's the part of you that feels really secure, really safe, really self-sufficient. The King of Pentacles is the pillar of stability. Often somebody who takes care of other people in a lot of ways. Somebody that a lot of other people rely on. Now that coming out with the Five of Pentacles, there's also a version of Gemini that is afraid and feels alone. You know, there's abandonment issues with the Five of Pentacles. There's financial concerns. You know, there's probably an element of you that wants to continue a certain way of life because you know that it's stable, because other people can rely on you. You know, even if you own a business and let's say you're not really into this business anymore, like your heart just isn't in it and you kind of just want to sell it. However, you know that you would have to let go of some valuable employees. Same thing in a relationship. You know, maybe you're kind of tied to something long term and yet you feel like you want to break free of it. Knight of Swords, you see this person is kind of running away from this situation. Now, they seem to be running away from the Five of Pentacles. Now, for some Geminis, there might be someone or something that you have to rescue. This could symbolize a loved one or a close friend that's going to require your care in some ways. The King of Pentacles could be a father figure or an authority figure in which the roles might be a little bit reversed in some ways. All of a sudden, people that were depending on you might be, you know, you might turn out to depend on them or vice versa. There is definitely going to be concern about finances. If it isn't for you, it's somebody, you know, this could be you going through some financial stuff and maybe a key player or someone comes to kind of rescue you or save the day in some way. Now, the overall energy between those 2 months, you actually pulled 2 cards. They came out together, and they seemed like pretty important message here. Change. I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. And the 8 of Wands is definitely indicating that there's movement. Now, the Hanged Man can indicate blockages. And then you get the card loneliness. I know that I am never alone. So, yeah. I feel like this loneliness is a blockage. I don't know, Gemini. I just feel like there's definitely an element of learning how to connect. Maybe for some of you, you haven't been able to connect in relationships as well. And maybe for some of you, maybe you've had a series of partners that haven't been really emotionally available, or, you know. Either way, there's probably been patterns of loneliness within your relationship, within your friendships, whatever this is. Again, South Node in the 7th. Think learning to deal with that and accepting change. Walking away from relationships or situations that kind of put you in that feeling of loneliness. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you feel lonely, or you feel like they don't know you, that's not a healthy dynamic. And being that you've just gone through this 8th house transit, and with Pluto still there in your 8th house, really standing strong on its own, meaning Pluto's going to really like build a lot of strength for you in the last degrees. It's about the rebuild, it's about the rebirth, it's about the change. And there's a lot of healing with that Star card here that tells me that if you are a Gemini that has kind of played it safe, more relying on the stability of situations, there might be some moments in the early parts of 2021 where you start to do like the big crazy things, you know, with an open heart, with the intention of connecting or having those really intimate, beautiful relationships or friendships, wanting to maybe even make a big move and move out of a city because you don't seem to have a lot of friends there. And maybe you move across country in hopes that you'll kind of find your soul tribe in that area. And that is very possible. I do think it's a lot about being able to change. You know, my fixed signs are going to have some issues. So if you're a Gemini and you also have some pretty hefty fixed sign energy in your chart, Scorpio, Taurus, Aquarius, or Leo, these could be areas in your life that you struggle. So this could be where you're not really willing to make the big changes. And the universe is really going to push and provoke you to do that anyways. You have to overcome those things. Now, moving into the month of May, you're coming out with the Empress. I love this, and I definitely feel like there is big changes occurring in May and June. And this is when we start to understand and feel that kind of really beautiful spiritual energy with a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. And that, again, happens in your 10th house. This is a beautiful energy. I like the Empress because, first of all, you are fine on your own, you know, but there's great fertility, and I think there's an essence of whatever change you're willing to embrace. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm just going to turn this heat down. It's like really hot in here now. So the Empress is very fertile. So whenever she comes up, if you are hoping or wanting to have children, May might be a really good month as far as conception is concerned, or, you know, anything like that. If you're pregnant, maybe you'll give birth in that month. But there's definitely the idea of giving birth, right? The Empress is somebody who is protecting and creating something new. I think that's the overall feeling in May. You start to really feel like things that you want are building. You start to really nourish yourself. You start to nourish your own creativity. That's really important. Now, the supporting energies underneath that Empress is the 6 of Cups, the Ace of Pentacles, and the 10 of Pentacles. Again, this feeling of getting kind of this support Again, I said we're going to go through contrast. So some months are going to be really, really good. Some months you're going to have to kind of do some shadow work, look at your demons. The next month seems to be going good. May, I would say, is definitely a highlight. Now, that Six of Cups tells me that there is something or someone that you are very drawn to. It could be a significant other. It could be a child. It could be an old childhood friend. This could be taking a trip back home. This is something that is very significant, the Six of Cups. If it is a person or a situation, this is the same thing from earlier. There's a relationship that really nurtures you. It really nurtures your heart. Something that's very significant. And I think it's that support system that makes you believe in yourself. That Six of Cups energy starts to really take root. Ace of Pentacles, Ten of Pentacles. This is like actually starting to really make things happen. If you are looking to move, this is actually purchasing a new home. If you are looking for a new career, this is a new job opportunity. If you are looking for a new partnership, this is, I often see the Ace of Pentacles as a proposal. So I don't think it's somebody new that you meet. You know, Ace of Pentacles is something that's a little bit more established. It's something that's a little bit more rooted. So this is kind of more like making a relationship exclusive in some way, moving in with somebody. It's definitely about moving towards your future, and it's something that's very stable. And the fact that the Ace of Pentacles is clarified by the Ten of Pentacles tells me that this is long-term stuff. Whatever's going on or whatever you are achieving or creating in the month of May, from a very positive standpoint, because of that, you are attracting things. You're attracting really true love. Even if it is, you know, on the material plane, even if it is just a house or a new job or something, there's so much long-term potential here. Also telling me that you have very little interest in things that don't offer long-term potential. So there's probably not a lot of interest to date a whole bunch of people or meet a lot of new people. Now, I know that's contrary to what I said earlier when I said you're brave enough to kind of go out and find your soul tribe, and you are. But I think right away you start to realize what nurtures you and what doesn't, and there's so much more intelligence into what you're aligning with. By the time May rolls around, you're starting to attract the things that are healthy for you, and they're coming to you easily. Okay. The antagonizing energy, which is pretty beautiful in itself, is the Ten of Cups, the Chariot, and the Sun. There's a little bit of frustration with the Chariot in reverse. Because it's long term, I understand the Chariot. There could be delays. There could be a little bit of a lack of cooperation with that Chariot in reverse. Chariot in reverse can also be something coming back from the past for a second chance. I say that because of the Sun and the Ten of Cups there. There's also an element with the Sun card and the Chariot in reverse. There's a freedom from desire. Now, seeing this Ten of Pentacles right above it, it's almost this feeling like having everything that you already need. It's almost as if Gemini gets a break from having to like really go after things and achieve things. May might really be a month of just being grateful for what you have. Maybe this is a month where it almost feels like a vacation of some sort. It almost feels like a resting period. At the very least, there's going to be some really loving, happy times. There could be some nostalgia here as well. with the Chariot in reverse. It feels like something you've had before coming back. It feels warm. I like it. For June, you get the Two of Cups. This is alignment. This is the masculine and the feminine part of us. Because this comes out right next to this Six of Pentacles in reverse, telling me that there was probably elements of Gemini that weren't very aligned. They're feminine and they're masculine. A lot of times we exude a certain way in relationships, okay? So we could be like either very take charge, masculine, like the go-getter, the person that makes the first move, the person that kind of dictates where the relationship is going to go. When I see the Six of Pentacles next to this, I think there seems to be, you know, the rough patches that you learn from in order to make a relationship stronger. There's definitely an element of recreating a relationship from the past. That's odd. I didn't pick that up a lot within the 2021. Oh, but your 12th house. See, I didn't pick that up a lot in 2021 because it is all about the new. But because of your 12th house, either this could be relationships you've actually had in the past, people from your past, jobs from your past, maybe living in cities that you lived in, you know, in the past. They could also be past life stuff, okay? Remember, we've got this 9th house, 12th house placements. You've got the North Node. There's karmic relationships that you're dealing with. And these could be people that you're meeting, you're dealing with, kind of healing old karmic stuff from past lives. Definitely indicated here. Supporting this Two of Cups is the Six of Wands, the Nine of Wands, and the Two of Wands. So there's definitely like all this Emperor energy continues to flow through. There's Gemini kind of taking control for sure. The Six of Wands is Leo energy. There's self-confidence. There's the ability, you know, believing in yourself and an element of victory. This coming right after the Sun card is like having everything that you want. Now, the problem is with the Two of Swords and the Nine of Wands, there could be some walls you have to kind of go through. This could be you attracting somebody there to teach you some karmic lessons about the Six of Pentacles, all about how you, how you properly give and take in relationships, Gemini. They're definitely dealing with some pretty big energy here with karmic lessons, okay? Six of Wands is also the card of Leo, is very much about giving, okay? There might be an element of what you have to give within relationships. Now, maybe you are somebody who doesn't have a lot to give financially at this time, meaning you feel like, you know, maybe you're a masculine who feels like you can't really attract females because you don't have the money to take them on really fancy dates, or, you know, even this has been an issue with COVID. Like, how do you properly date or get to know people when really you can't do much more than like grab a cup of coffee? You know, there's not a lot of experiences that you can have. I think in 2021, we get to start to have those experiences. We get to turn things around. Now, this card, the Six of Pentacles, like I talked about with the Two of Pentacles, this is like the universe is supporting you in this change, in learning how to give and invest equally in relationships. The antagonizing energy is the Six of Swords, Seven of Wands, the Nine of Swords, and the Four of Cups in reverse. You think these are the things that ultimately you are overcoming, okay? It's not easy. It's not easy to overcome these things, but you're going to do it. Six of Swords is that of walking away or leaving things. And this feels like when things get hard, you tend to walk away easily. Always constantly wanting to keep things moving. Seven of Wands is kind of my denial card, not wanting to look at things for the way that they are. This could also be, you know, almost a Neptunian vibe of making things a lot better than they really are. Nine of Swords is anxiety, and the Four of Cups in reverse is boredom and yeah. There's a lesson here in appreciating the things that you have, seeing the blessings that the universe is trying to hand you. See, this is again an element of something coming back from the past, because a lot of times the Four of Cups is like the universe handing you a gift and you don't see it. But when it's in reverse, you start to see what that gift was. So there could be elements of even bad relationships, even the bad lessons actually ultimately being a gift, being an experience that was meant to serve you, meant to teach you that there's better ways to do things, okay? Now, the overall energy in these 2 months is blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. And I think this is definitely where the growth starts to really get interesting. Maybe there is some reconciling that you have to do with the way that things went down. Maybe you start to see things from a different perspective. Maybe you start to see you from a different perspective. You know, maybe there was elements where you blamed other people for things in your life, and now you start to have like this epiphanies where you start to see, and this is very indicative of the beginning of the journey, you start to see, you know, the ways in which you were kind of self-sabotaging yourself. You know, if a lot of things in your life haven't gone your way so far, and you could say, yeah, but it's because I dated this person, I wasted all my time on this job, and I didn't go after this. Well, yeah, there's always like 100 things that we could blame it on. But what made us make those decisions in the first place? Like, those are like the really hard conversations you have to have with yourself. Ultimately, a lot of the times, it's because you didn't believe in yourself to make the other choice. You know, if you were deciding between two different careers, maybe you didn't think you were smart enough to do this other thing. Maybe you didn't think you were talented enough to do that other thing, so you settled for this. Same with relationships. Maybe you were just afraid that something better wouldn't come along, so you wasted your time on something that wasn't good enough for you, and you knew it the whole time. All in all, you start to look at what is in yourself that gets you in those situations to begin with. And once you start to heal that, the sky is the limit. Look at this. Queen of Cups. Look at this. Freedom. I possess the power and the free will to create my own happiness. It's almost as if, like I said with this Emperor, by May, you start to really give birth to this new identity, this new person, this brave enough to be who you are and to let other people see who you are. Brave enough to start to do the things that make you happy instead of just the things that you have to do. And in that, in the things that you start to invest that really do give back to you, you know, this is you giving to things that aren't giving back. This is so much better. With the Six of Pentacles also coming in to light so often, I do want to also express to you guys, because there's so much Aquarius energy, it's really important to understand that what we're meant to do is kind of open up to others and connect. Like I said, it's all about connection. But oftentimes, we don't realize how much that we get when we give of ourselves. There might be a lot of 2021 that's about like what you can do for others, what you can give towards others. There might be an opportunity to do some charity work. And this could be so different from everybody. Like maybe you want to work with animals. Maybe you want to just collect money to a certain charity. Maybe it's time that you have the ability to donate to. It's really important to focus on how you can give to the universe, how you can give back to others freely without expectation, without building resentment. And the more that you can focus on that, the more the universe is going to kind of gift back to you. I think that's really important to understand for 2021. It's also really important to understand when you're moving to or through such spiritual things in your life. When you start to go into a place, a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to be a hospice volunteer. And it was a really wonderful, beautiful job. And it was very satisfying in a lot of ways. Oftentimes I was working with people that had Alzheimer's and they didn't recognize me. They didn't remember me from visit to visit. So there's not a whole lot of accolades or anything that really makes you feel great about yourself. It really, truly is kind of self-sacrificing. You don't ever want to do those things because you think you're going to trick the universe into helping things go your way. But a lot of times when we do those things, we get gifts from the universe we didn't expect to get. We see things, or we have these enlightening moments, or we understand the way things work a little bit better. So any opportunity you have to kind of give back to your community in any way might really give back to you in ways you didn't realize they could. Pay attention to those opportunities, Gemini. I don't know why, just kind of intuitively, I think my guides wanted you guys to hear that. Any opportunities that come your way would probably be very beneficial to you. All right, Gemini. I do hope that you have a wonderful holiday season, a wonderful Christmas and New Year's, and the next time I will talk to you will be in January. So I will see you soon. Take care. Lots of love. Bye.